bottles, like 7 bottles, yeah. Ask Madam Alawawa if we have glasses for us. Yeah? Quick, the 7 glasses, let me know. Yeah?
I told him to stop music once you get on. That's why he stopped.
But then, Tay, no, 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 they're on the camera now. We have our own pictures. Where is the electricity? Where is this? No, where? You told them. Do they have? I don't know. Come and I give my number. We need to get it together. Hold on. I know. Just give me one program. One program. No, just put them on the table. Hello, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. When I set up my company, I got two of my uncles to be on the board. And when they asked me how many, have you all got this? Yeah, okay. So they asked me how many years experience I had in my company. I said 70 years. And they were like looking at me, how can you have 70 years experience? And I said, look at my board. In this room today, we have like 1,000,000 years of experience. I see CEOs, global chairmen, CFOs, chairman of chairman, chairman emeritus. And I'm just awed by the outpouring of love for engineer Charles Osezua. So I want to welcome you to the public presentation of The Rise of Gas. It's a book by engineer Charles Osezua, who many of you knew from NMPC and from his coming to set up his own business. It's the first of its kind book. When they write books about Nigerian oil and gas, it's usually about oil. This is the first time we're privileging gas in Nigeria. So it is in many ways industry defining, it is paradigm shifting. It has been described as magisterial in its account. It's been called funny. It's been called tear inducing. They say it pulls no punches. It is a must read for anyone invested or interested in the ongoing conversations about gas and energy transition. So my name is Tony Khan, and I will be your pilot today. Our flight will be for 2 hours. We'll be cruising at an altitude of 1,000 books, which we expect to be sold today. So get your checkbooks ready. We will serve refreshments before we land. Welcome and thank you for electing to spend your morning with us. There are so many VIPs here. I'm even scared. I don't know where to start. But first, I want to get some people up here to join me so I'm not so lonely up here. And I will start by inviting the man of the hour. But first, I will invite the person I like to say is the Oga of my Oga. So let's start by inviting Madam Gloria Osezua to the high table. This book was given life because she insisted. She put her foot down and said, "My husband Charles, I don't want a car. I don't want a cruise. Yeah, there. I don't want to go on a cruise. I don't want money. All I want is a book." So without this woman, we will not be here today to launch this book. I want to invite my Oga, after my Oga. So, Ms. Engr Charles Osezua, please come and join us. There's something called 6 degrees of separation. It says that when you meet somebody, if you spend 5-10 minutes talking to the person, you will know somebody that the person knows that you also know. So, Chairman. Yeah. So in this hall today, people I've met in different eras of my life, from banking at Zenith Bank to working for Seplat, to working for Century Energy. You know, there are people here I know, but it's scary. So I want to invite our chairman for the day, Mr. Basil Omiyi. If I say he's chairman of this, chairman of that, I'll just say he's chairman emeritus of so many things. Please come up, sir. When you get a copy of the book, you will find a lovely foreword. It was penned by Engineer Afolabi Oladele. He will join us up here too. Welcome, sir. After Engineer Charles' studies at Texas, he came back to work for NMPC. So without NMPC, we will not be here. That's where it all started. And NMPC, as we say, gets his flowers in this book and also gets the whip. NMPC is represented here today by Mrs. Kemi Olumuyiwa, who is the ED Corporate Communications. She's repping the GCU of NMPCL. Madam, please join us here. I have 2 more seats up here, and I've been told that anybody who will give us 10 million for a copy can come and take one of the seats. So I'll just wait, just beckon on me, and I'll come over and get it. We have the opening prayer now and the anthem. Then we'll do some introductions. I don't know where to start introductions from, so pardon me. It might take us, I'll take it in bits, so I don't leave anybody out. So I'll call Father Tio Akanya to give us the opening prayers, and then we'll have national anthem too. Thank you, sir.
God Almighty Father, the beginning and end of all that exists, we thank you for the gift of life and for the constant care you lavish upon us, your children. We thank you for this day and for having enabled us to be here today for the book launch of our brother and friend, Engineer Charles Osezua, by which he shares with us the wisdom that you have given him. May you take him to greater heights. We also pray that this book and this launch may contribute in some tangible ways to the creation of more wealth and its effective distribution in Nigerian society, which is presently in dire needs. Deign to command your holy angels to keep watch over us and over all the proceedings of this book launch until it is brought to a successful conclusion. And this event over, may they, your holy angels, safely lead us all back to our respective homes and destinations. All this we ask you through Christ our Lord.
All right. When we started writing biographies, it was because we realized that Nigerians who have achieved a lot don't tell their stories. Last week, my daughter sent me a message. She's schooling abroad, and she said to me, "Daddy, Nigeria has made history." I said, "What?" He said, "Epis is now going to London." I said, "No, it's not history. There is somebody here, Dr. Arimeni Johnson, who started ARIC, who was the first to take us to London through ARIC. But because he has not written his book, my daughter has not read it. So, sir, please, you need to write your book so we know." Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Don Etiebet. The list of his honors are plenty. I don't know where to start. Former minister, welcome, sir. Last time I saw her was on the flight, and when I saw her this morning, I said, "Good morning, Doc." She said, "Prof." So I said, "Professor Konedo, thank you for joining us today." Mr. Lai Fatona is here. Is he with us here? Dr. Lai Fatona, please. Sorry. Apologies. Mr. Yinka Folawiyo is here. He's here with us. This is my Oga. When I started banking, he was already an ED. Now he owns his own bank. Mr. Elias Akenzua, Globus Bank. Ambassador Dew Messi is here. Professor Eleguido of PAU is here. Professor Ezigbo of Falcon Oil is here. We'll come back to more people. We have Chief Chamberlain Oyibo here with us. Dr. Peter Bankole is here with us. Mr. Alfred Okoigun is here with us. Mr. B.T. Lawson. Professor Alos is here with us. I will take this in bits so we don't, somebody has sent me a message that he has to catch a flight at 12. So we'll try and move as quickly as possible. We will now take the chairman's opening remarks if he's ready for us. And then from there, we'll move on. Thank you.
The high table, Charles Osezua, Mrs. Osezua, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I think the starting point must be to congratulate. Okay. I think the starting point must be to congratulate Charles Osezua, or should I congratulate Gloria for the courage to actually put opinions down in a book. That's actually the difficult thing about writing a book, because you're actually going there naked. You've opened yourself for people who will support you, people who will criticize you, people who will not like the book. But I think especially a book like this about a very important subject, gas development in Nigeria. And for those of you from the oil industry, or even people who are not in the oil, you obviously agree that we have these energy challenges in our country. And like the MC said, not many books have been written about gas. So I think what is coming from this is that Charles has put something on the table and now invites others who have different opinion or different ideas to put theirs on the table. And hopefully we will actually grow this conversation and in the end hopefully start coming to a position. Because since I was a little child, all we have had in Nigeria about development is conversation. And I'm very soon to be octogenarian, a couple of years, and we still haven't agreed what is our national development philosophy, what energy, even what is the structure of governance of the nation. We still haven't agreed. And at some point, we have to agree. And I think one of the reasons we haven't one of the problems we haven't solved problems like energy, national development, is because we haven't actually agreed what our national development philosophy is. And we hello. Can you hear me?
Is it better here?
Should I go there? Hello? We've always judged our governments by how they manage the politics. But the purpose of government has never been about managing politics. It's It's about managing the welfare of the people, the well-being of the people, the security of the people. And a country that is so endowed as ourselves, as ours, with over 200 million people, is a blessed country. We haven't put them to work. We are not a productive economy. And that discussion is not being heard. And that's, unless you have those conversations, we will not be addressing the issues that are raised in this book today. And by this way, it starts from knowing the number of people that are in the country that we have to invest for, and we don't know. So if you say, how come we are still writing about gas, and gas is still rising many, many years after we produced the first oil? We're only just beginning to ask ourselves the questions and the need for gas to play a major role in our economy, driven more by climate issues rather than by our developmental issues, which should be the reasons why we do whatever we do. It is because we haven't had a good conversation. So I'm really happy that Charles has the courage to put something on the table and it starts the conversation going. It starts with gas, but it's going to end up about energy, discussion about energy availability to the people. How are we going to develop our people? Is it through the wire? Is it by burning gas? Or is it diesel? Whatever. We need to take a position. I would say that what I look to for our country is a country that recognizes that without production, you don't grow. We are just a consumption. We just consume, we don't produce. And why don't we produce? Because there's no energy to produce. Yeah, so it reminds me about telecoms when the minister said that it's not everybody who should have a telephone. I think on energy we are probably about that as well. It's not everybody who should have energy. But it's everybody who should have energy if everybody has to make a contribution and produce. And it's not a luxury, it's a need. It's a dire need for our people and for our economy and for our well-being. So thank you, Charles, for starting this conversation, and I hope that when we know more about the book, the conversation actually starts from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. When we began planning this book launch, I went online to look at captains of industry, entrepreneurs, celebrities of different stripes across the world to see books they've written and books about them. And I'll just give you a few. Steve Jobs, when I checked, has 41 books written about him. 41. Elon Musk has 36 books about him already written. Bill Gates has 42. Jack Welch has 36 books. Tiger Woods has 24. Rishi Sunak, who just became PM, has 2 books about him. Even 50 Cent, the rapper, has 11 books. I tried to look for books by Nigerian CEOs and captains of industry, and there was one by Aliko Dangote. It was done in May 2013, one by my former boss, Jim Ovia. It was this lack that made us decide to set up a business to write biographies. And this book we are here today to present is not just for somebody to buy and put in his libraries. It's a book that people should read, whether they're industry players in oil and gas, whether they're researchers, whether they are students of geology or oil and gas, whether they are journalists, whether they are investors, whether they are technocrats, policymakers, and troublemakers. So, because in the book he doesn't hold back. He names names and he looks for some kind of trouble, even though he's a very gentleman. I'd like to acknowledge a few more people. Mr. Sheyi Oladapo from Pan Ocean Oil. He's here with us. There's Chief Useni Elema. He's getting a free book from me. He was the first person to arrive here today. We have Mr. Austin Avuru, who is Uncle Austin. He's a mentor. He's a client. He's published 4 books in the past 4 years. I hear he's writing the 5th one. There's Mr. Awalu Ilu, who's here. And the man I call the global chairman, Mr. Emmanuel Ikazobo, working on his own book. Is not ready. Be ready soon. I will come back to introductions in due course. We will now hand over the mic to Engineer Afolabi Oladele to just give us a snippet from the book, his introduction, and what his views are about this book we're about to present today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I don't think it would be proper for me to start without making some acknowledgements. I recognize about 4 different families that are seated here today. The matriarch of all of us who are offsprings of Harriet Adams. The eldest amongst us, Lai Fatono, Mrs. Irene Adams. It's a joy to have you here with us. Charlie, myself, Lai Fatano, and a number of others. We drank from the wisdom of this gentleman, and we were always in our house. Thank you for welcoming us. The NMPC family, I'm truly delighted that you came to honor your own, led by Minister Don Etiebet. I see many of my ogas, Chamberlain Oyibo. I see my oga, Mabuaye, if you permit me to say that. You can knock me on the head after. And many more. I've seen Dr. Fawibe, many others. I've seen old colleagues from Chevron. Last time that I saw you, sir, you were taking a walk on Kilburn. And amazing that you showed up here today. The family, the LBS family, Professor Alos, Professor Legido, Professor Okonedo, sister to my own friend Cyrilodu, and old boy of GCI, Dr. Bankole. Thank you for honoring your own. And then the lineage of entrepreneurs, and I could go on and on and on. That's who Charles Osezua is, a man of many parts. And when he asked me to write the foreword of this book, I didn't know what a surprise I was in for, because the very first part of it was contentious. Everyone who spoke about the origin of the oil industry always looked at Oloibiri. Charles deposes that it is not. And that's a good start in this very abridged form of the foreword that I'll be reading to you. The rise of gas, from Gaslink to the decade of gas, a ministerial account of Nigeria's entry into the Committee of Oil and Gas Producing Countries, didn't really start from Oloibiri. In fact, Charles says it's Dahomey Basin, Akata close to Eket, your area. And that's where our checkered history actually started, when we talked about the history of the oil and gas industry. Later Adams met young Charles, then in Kaduna, and nicknamed him Gasman, fortuitously speaking into his life the dual path his life will track. Engineer Osezua's pivotal role in policy formulation driving development of Nigeria gas resources still stands, but more as an entrepreneur that has invested in the entire spectrum of gas utilization. For part of this, I was in the trenches with him, and I guess that's probably why he tagged me. For this, the name Charles Osezua will be written in stone. In this book, Charles Osezua's account begins in the 70s and runs its course up to 2023, when energy transition started making headlines. On Monday, July 31st, 2023, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu BAT unveiled his economic plan to the nation in the wake of the removal of the oil subsidy. And in that popular speech that he made, he declared, "We have made provision to invest 100 billion between now and March 2024 to acquire 3,000 units of 20-seater CNG fuel buses. The jury is out. We're past March 2024. I don't know where we are. But what is CNG? That's really the question. And what does it portend for the Nigerian oil and gas industry? And what does it mean for this economy? The interesting thing is that CNG started being talked about by this gentleman who puts the story in a book. This book will provide you with an answer, narrating succinctly how the country could have been using CNG fueled vehicles almost 4 decades before BAT's declaration. In broad strokes, the book catalogues 1, the irony of a country constrained to import gas and dealing with much of gas scarcity on account of flagrant gas flaring. Missed opportunity to harness the stranded gas due to the many policy somersaults, reversals across many administrations, the most painful of which Charles details in chapter 4 of this riveting book, IBB's administration, the suspension of a federal government gazette that put Nigeria gas industry and gas utilization back several decades. That suspension nullified the results of 9 months comprehensive nationwide market survey that laid the foundation of a gas pricing policy. The policy covered industry clusters with clear data on the potential for gas utilization. The book outlines the sad and disheartening story of the nation's years of burning money that predated the now called Gas Master Plan. This young man, I still call him young, from Ekboma, whose father was a farmer and mother, a hard-working, energetic farm produce trader. You heard Compare talking about, oh no, it was Spirit that was talking to me about the cassava plantation. Those are some of the things that Charlie took over and is running with it. And Charlie did rise to the pinnacle of the Nigerian gas industry and was not put down by the national policy failures. Driven by what he witnessed as a young man in Ughelli, the tongue of flame leaping in the air, he was inspired to pursue the course of study to address what looked an anomaly. He went on to study natural gas engineering in the US. On completing his studies, he joined the NNPC, where he rose to become a champion. And his articulation of policies to monetize the country's enormous gas resources started with the elimination of gas flares and enhancing the terms of gas development. Engineer Osezua was clearly years ahead of his time, seeing what the nation is only now seeing, waking up to address the issues he raised regarding gas being the future revenue earner for Nigeria. Many of his works are documented in articles and position papers. This confirmed him the moniker Gasman that Engr Charles A named him. Post NNPC and his entrepreneurial passion took him first to being part of the group that birthed the Lagos Business School, and they're all well represented here. Thank you for being here, Prof. And subsequently, the creation of groundbreaking gas utilization companies, amongst which the great successes like Gaslink, that's now become part of the Oando Empire, and the biomass gas processing plant, that's now become part of Austin's empire. But you're all well represented here. Gaslink is discussed in this book, and its transformational impact on the seven industrial areas of Lagos provide proof of what could have been replicated on the national scale, where Nigerian industries provided with reliable energy supply and feedstock would have transformed this country into a powerhouse of petrochemical products of all kinds. The book is funny in parts, tear-inducing in others, but at the end, what emerges is a composite of what has kept Nigeria back for decades, thanks to the short-sightedness of our leaders and our policymakers. The book is valuable knowledge base for everyone involved in the gas value chain, from students to oil industry workers, technocrats, and policymakers as we proceed with our energy transition agenda. As Chinua Achebe said, a man who does not know where the rain begins to beat him cannot say where he dried his body. Charles Osezua in his book has shown us where the rain began to beat us and where and what we must do to begin to dry our body as a gas-producing nation. The book reviewer is going to give you a lot more, but this is where I rest my case. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. I said this was a book for industry players, for researchers, for students, for journalists, for investors, technocrats, policymakers, and for troublemakers. The claims in this book, some of them are contentious, and Engineer Charles Osezua is already planning for part 2 of the book to answer all those people who will contend with his postulations. Back in 1997, 98, 99, I was editor of Hints magazine. I was living in Oregon and going to work in Ojodu. And a few times, I'm ashamed to say, I cursed the people that own Gaslink, because coming to work, I had to pass through Agidingbi to get to my office, and they were digging up all the roads to lay the pipes. So we didn't know that one day we'll be here launching a book and celebrating that story. But that is how life is. Thank you once again for joining us this morning. It's a holiday. People should be at home resting, but you've come out today to support your good friend, your former colleague, and we're very grateful for that. We have many more names to acknowledge. Mr. Femi Ademola of ICO, Mr. Ibilola, Amawo, AC Madiche, Dr. Diron, Fash Weber, Richard Titiloye, Mr. Elias. Oh, I can't swear, I've already done that already. I've been blessed with many uncles, many mentors, and I don't take them for granted. And one of my uncles and mentors will be coming up shortly to give us a book review. When we present a book publicly, the two most important things, I believe, are the book review and then the book presentation / check presentation. That will come up shortly. At the beginning, I did say that we have 2 seats here, which are going for 10 million. If you want to come up here and just enjoy the AC from up here, I'll give you a seat for 10 million. Just call on me and I'll be there. Uncle Toyin Akinyosho is a geologist, worked at Chevron, started life as a journalist, and returned to journalism. He will be reviewing this book for us. And I would like us to pay attention because when we're done, we have a prize of 1 million for the person that will tell me the 200 word he will say. So if you can pay attention, we'll give 1 million to the person who remembers the word. Uncle Twain.
Good afternoon, everybody. Professor O.S. Adegoke, acknowledge your presence, sir. That's the man who gave me the ticket, even when neither of us knew, to be in places like this. Thank you very much, Prof. Members of the subsurface fraternity here, the ones who are past their 80s, Uncle Chamberlain Oyibo, Uncle Jim Orife, you're welcome, sirs. Happy birthday, Sir Charles. I know you're 70 this year. Where I come from, that sort of birthday is year round. So even if that's not what you are doing today, happy birthday all the same. It's in the book. It's just that you don't mention it. It's not that kind of book where somebody says I was born in, and that's where I'm starting from. It's a very unusual Nigerian memoir. It doesn't extensively dwell on the author. It focuses squarely on the subject. The MC said something like 40,000 books written on Elon Musk, 90,000 books written on blah, blah, blah. Mr. Charles Osezua did not write a book about himself. He wrote about the subject, which is why it's very short, 200 pages, very packed with information. The references to him have things to do with the projects that he embarked on. What he has done with the life story in this packed, highly charged 200-page account is to use it as a backdrop for a riveting narrative of the Nigerian gas business landscape, which, depending on where you sit, is both a highlight of the opportunities and a listing of frustrations. It goes straight to the point of a book, which is the instruction, the admonition, request by Lady Gloria Osezua, who says, the only birthday gift I want from you is your book on gas development. So the rise of gas, yeah, you can clap if you want to. So the rise of gas is a story of battles fought and won and lost. Why things don't work in Nigeria in spite of Nigeria. Why things work in Nigeria sometimes in spite of Nigeria. And why a lot of things don't work despite the best of efforts. A crucial event early in his life, we've repeated here. He showed up at the age 17, somewhere in Ugeli, and that's because Shell Petroleum, either it was Shell Petroleum who decided to organize the excursion, which is why it's important to organize those excursions, or it was the school Annunciation who organized the excursion. Either way, this 17-year-old secondary school student, in 1971, saw, as he put it, the tongue of flame leaping into the air in Ugeli. This is a gas flare, the engineer explained to us, excited youth. If properly harnessed, Nigeria can make a lot of money from gas that is being flared. His recollection continues. I was part of a debating team, and part of the program was a visit to the Shell Petroleum Company facility in Ugeli. They are taking us around the plant, but it was a gas flare that finally caught my attention. And the gentleman who was explaining that there was a lot of potential in the gas being flared Using slides, he explained all that could be done with natural gas. He also talked about the chemistry of it and how hydrocarbons are the building blocks of a petrochemical industry. I left Ughelli with my head buzzing and wondering about all the possibilities from natural gas. So in many ways, my journey into the oil and gas industry began on that sunny afternoon on my visit to Ughelli, even if I didn't realize it then. The Rise of Gas is a 6-part compendium. The first of the 6 is what I call the background elements. The second part is the case study of Gaslink project, which is for him the signature project of his life. It's a success which he considers so huge that he keeps returning to it in this book. The third part is a case study on his zombie experience. I mean, the zombie experiment, and that's what I call when Nigeria happens to you. It's perhaps his most frustrating personal project to date. The fourth part is a case study of Egbaoma plant, which is another success story. Then he has this fifth segment that are the 10 business principles. And the last, which is my favorite, the addendum. In particular, the part that is headlined Statutory Regulation and Fiscal Incentives, which reveals so much about the opportunities in the sector now that the country has a much more coherent blueprint for gas investments, even though we now have 11 years to go to the beginning of the end of the fossil fuel era. The background element section, comprising the first 5 chapters, is the most diverse in terms of range of subjects treated. He also tells us of his early upbringing. We know that already from what Engineer Afolabi Oladele has repeated. Actually, when I read Engineer's foreword, I thought, he has written the review. What am I going to do? And if I don't write something that sounds, they will find out I'm a fake. So I'm going to do a lot of excerpting. I'm going to pretend that, okay, it's all about excerpt, giving you a sense of what the book is and not any analysis, because he's done all the work. Now, so the author ends up in the United States reading gas engineering, even though as of the time that he saw those tongue of flame, essentially the gas flare, he had no clear sight to even any tertiary education, even in EPOMA. Because, as it says in the book, who dashed monkey banana? But one of the interesting things is that as of 1976, he had gotten to the US, he was working on his master's, he was courting his wife, or probably even had married, he gives a sense of someone so focused, meaning that once the path was clear for him, he just surged. It is in this part that we're told of the brief story of the search and winning of hydrocarbon in Nigeria. Engineer Oladele makes so much of that, but geologists always know that. The basin search came before the Niger Delta. Osezua is laughing. I'm sorry, this is not novel. Adegoke's preeminence in geology was established in those kinds of things. So when he writes his book, you will find out. So here we learn of the build-up of the earliest infrastructure for natural gas gathering. That's in these background elements by NNPC, through an excerpt from a paper by Chief Chamberlain Oyibo, a former chief executive officer of the corporation. That paper encapsulates the high ambitions of the then brand new NNPC. And you'll be very surprised that it was NNPC that did this. The first major gas pipeline was built by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and commissioned in 1978 for supply of natural gas to NEPA Sapele power plant. This was followed quickly by the Alaja, Oben, and Ajaokuta gas systems and the Escravos Lagos pipeline system, all utilizing gas from the western Niger Delta to various load points in the western part of the country, up to Ajaokuta Steel Company. Interpretation: the ELPS was constructed that early, and the Oben Ajaokuta pipeline had been delivered. So all the pipelines that we're constructing, we've been constructing for the last 12, 14 years that we haven't delivered, came after, those glorious years of the NNPC. But the author quickly warns us that this whole achievements of the NNPC that you're seeing was a high road to nowhere, and this is why. Despite the fact that government, might construct a bunch of, infrastructure, the fact was that there wasn't any coherent blueprint on ground to deliver gas to markets. So you can be responding to certain little challenges here and there, but you didn't, construct anything. You didn't provide the kind of clear pathway for investors to know where they can put their money and grow a gas market. This is what it tells us. Government's priority was the exploration for oil. The policy focus was mainly on finding and developing oil fields. Consequently, the steps to be taken regarding the discovery of commercial gas fields or associated gas were not clearly defined. On account of this, the policies governing natural gas development were more reactionary in response to issues on certain situations. Consequently, it was mostly scattered and immersed in existing policies and regulations through budgetary pronouncements and amendments to existing policies governing the exploration and production of oil and gas. This invariably created some ambiguity for investors looking at investing in the gas sector in Nigeria. At this point, many of you distinguished ladies and gentlemen will be wondering, all of this you have told us so far, we have heard. So what new thing does the book tell us? Now, a good book brings together the many disparate issues that have sprung forth from a subject and provides a context, and so that the reader can see a particular issue in a whole. As a gas engineer in NNPC in the 1980s, who had become a champion of natural gas utilization in the country, writing articles, position papers, and leading seminars, Charles Osezua had come to the attention of his bosses in higher echelons of company management. So he was made a member of a study team led by Shell Petroleum to conduct a market survey to establish a potential gas market in Nigeria. I think that this is the linchpin of the book. The survey was the first step, and we wanted to be as comprehensive as possible. Thus, we toured all the 19 state capitals and visited every nook and cranny of Nigeria where there was an industrial activity. We spent time at various industrial sites gathering data on energy utilization. Depending on size and complexity, we spent hours and days gathering and revalidating data. We spent 3 weeks with NEPA alone just to gain a firm understanding of their plans and future energy demands. It was a grueling 9 months of travels and data collection from Lagos, which was the largest, to Kano, which was the second most industrial city. So what's the result of this work? Good for industry, good for government, good for consumers. The gas pricing formula was essentially a cost-plus formula tied to alternative fuels and feedstocks, so it could track and mirror the market, but discounted 40% at entry and 20% in perpetuity. Additionally, it made special provisions for NEPA and large industrial consumers. And then what happened? 2 weeks after the passage of the gas pricing policy into law, there was an unprecedented development. The new law to be documented in the federal government gazette was suspended. This was unexpected and had never happened before. I was shocked and I had to ask, is this real? Have we surrendered to mediocrity? Have we suspended our future as a nation that was set to dictate the pace for other emerging economies in Africa? We are all perplexed, and our faces were quite grim, as if the world had crashed around us. Indeed, we were grossly disappointed and couldn't fathom what had happened. What happened was a question. We soon had an answer. An Air Force chief with responsibility for power, steel, and industry, who was absent from the council meeting when the approval was granted, raised questions. He was said to have declared that my ministry cannot pay the approved tariff. And then after a rise and rise in NNPC, so that's how the gas pricing formula crashed, and that's how we kept on repeating the challenges. We were doing decrees and laws, trying to mend things, but then the country never had this blueprint that allowed people to understand how they put their money into gas and how they get their money back. And that's really the problem. And then after a rise and rise, because I need to run, I'm told that, I have a very short time. And then after a rise and rise in NNPC in rapid promotion that took him up to the plushest corner office as the technical assistant to the group managing director, Charles Osezua gets into a high committee deciding the contractor for the Nigerian liquefied natural gas. He chose to disagree with the choice of technology picked by most of the directors of the company's board, because essentially, as far as he knew as a gas engineer, the choice that they were making will not absorb a lot of the associated gas that Nigeria produced. He reminisced in the book, when your action leads to the sack of 5 directors and you're just a small guy, you are in trouble. There was a lot of movement and all sorts. So he left NNPC. Despite the fact that he was a rising star, nobody asked him to leave. He just felt, what am I doing here? It wasn't that there was a challenge in NNPC itself. He just basically felt they would come for him. I find that particular part of the book quite interesting. This was a gentleman who was already penciled down as a candidate for a future GMD position. So whereas the background element section, the first 5 chapters of the book, provide a backdrop and raises concerns about the incoherence in policy for gas in Nigeria, the next 3 chapters are about the entrepreneurship, the business battles that he fought, won, or lost. He has set up both Away, Linkso, and Gaslink after he left NNPC. Gaslink was set up to, as he says, fill the gap that remained in the gas value chain. In 1996, the Nigerian gas company placed an advert in papers. They wanted to issue a gas distribution franchise for what they called Greater Lagos area. And they needed a company they could partner with to build the gas distribution pipelines. That was the opportunity Gaslink was chasing. The Greater Lagos area included 7 industrial clusters in Lagos, which for the purpose of clarification included Ikeja, Oregun, to motorways, Ilupeju, Matori, Apapa, Amuodofin, and Isolo. The result was announced 3 years later. As it turned out, Unipetrol was the winner and Gaslink was runner-up with the best technical submission. Unipetrol's technical partner had left the country in the course of the 3 years that the bid process ran. That opened up an opportunity for Gaslink, which was a highly technically resourced company, to work with Unipetrol. The decision was made to convert Gaslink to a special purpose vehicle and have Unipetrol assign its franchise to Gaslink, subject to the approval of NNPC, and take a 40% stake, while Gaslink will have the right to 60%. Now, money was needed to start the construction. I will read another excerpt here. The author was introduced to Chief Ochonogo. What exactly do you need because I'm traveling tonight? Chief Ochonogo asked. I shot my presentation. I told him I needed 3 million to meet my equity requirement for the venture. He said, is that all? I said, yes, sir. We needed $10 million for the first phase. I needed to deposit $3 million equity in the bank before I could draw on the loan facility. He inquired about the bank, and I told him it was STB. He He wanted to know who I was dealing with in the bank. I explained that the MD, Tony Elumelu, had given a conditional approval for the loan. But first, I had to achieve the equity threshold for the project. After I spoke, Chief Ochonogo picked up his phone and made a call. When a lady entered, he introduced me and told her to sit down. I had him issue instructions that changed the course of my business career and life. Young man, please send her the presentation you have prepared, okay? Then turning to the young lady, said, Engineer Osezua will give you his account details. Please credit his account with $3 million tomorrow morning. As he spoke those words, I thought I was going to fall down from the chair I was sitting on. Although the author may have had in mind to celebrate the Gaslink success largely in this document, but the case study that I found most instructive is a 10-year struggle to commercialize the Izombe gas field. Here are two excerpts. Izombe was my first effort at building a gas processing plant. In order to do that, we entered into an agreement with ADAX, who was the operator of OML 124. We signed an agreement with ADAX to harness the gas at the flare. At a point in time, the flared gas was between 55 million to 63 million standard cubic feet per day. That's what was being burnt in the air, which was made up of ADAX's direct production as well as production from Chevron's contiguous OMF 53. Based on the agreement, we entered and negotiated with ADAX to develop that facility. ADAX decided to become an equity shareholder in a 60-40 joint venture, which we chose to call the Zombe Gas Processing Company, which means that long before Anno Processing Company was, these are important, these are, these are, the whole idea really was to build a gas processing facility in Izombe, produce natural gas liquids, which is like crude oil, very light crude oil, and LPG, which is your cooking gas, and propane, as a gas utilization strategy for harnessing gas that was being flared. That was a core objective of the project. Owe Linkso Group obtained approval from the NNPC to progress the project in July 2010, 6 years after I had signed a heads of agreement with ADAX. But the project didn't happen. Why? A gas sale and purchase agreement was negotiated with ADAX, but ADAX alone could not sign it. They needed NNPC to sign off, and for the next 1.5 years, we were stuck with NNPC trying to get that agreement done. Even with ministerial directive, for us to come up with an implementable commercial construct that works for all parties, we still could not get NNPC to sign off as the ultimate owner. And the only one who could sign off to transfer title to gas, which we needed. The negotiations went on until we got the Honorable Minister of Petroleum at the time, Mrs. Desiani Alice Madrike. It was with her that we signed what the government called Accelerated Gas Development Agreement. She then mandated us to develop several gas fields, up to a volume of 500 million standard cubic feet a day. But up until now, that agreement remains inoperable because government did not take the proactive steps to create the enabling environment for the implementation of its policy directive. Now, that license is a PSC license. PSCs are owned by government. It's been very difficult to develop. It's been impossible for anybody to develop anything, which ownership is not certain as PSC. And even if you follow the news in the last 3 weeks, President Tinubu has signed a raft of executive orders that actually are supposed to be helping, gas development, whether it's NAG that he's talking about, whether it's, and there's none of them that speaks to this issue of this PSC. So as we speak, and there's a whole bunch of PSCs. The deep water Nigeria is largely a PSC zone. And there are large gas reservoirs, gas fields there. They will not be developed, trust me, in the current, and if you are talking about, and this book says a lot about that, if you are talking about getting gas to distribute, you've got to first, develop that gas upstream. You've got to get it out of the subsurface, and that's key. And that's where a lot of bottlenecks is happening. So listen to this second excerpt. Since there was no gas development agreement, we who had invested $9 million at this stage were stuck. A lot of our equipment were in storage, which we were paying for. We had our tanks ready to ship from Long Beach, California. They had been at the port for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, my company paid a storage fee of $1.3 million. That was when we realized that our country had put us in a very precarious situation. And we were on the verge of financial ruin because we were paying for storage everywhere and Nigeria was not making a decision. What did we do finally? We decided to sell the plant. And when Nigeria made up its mind, we will come back. That is how we sold the equipment in Houston and sold the tanks that were in California. Then we licked our wounds and moved to Ibuno. Despite the debilitating challenges of the Nigerian environment, a situation which we've collectively codenamed When Nigeria Happens to You, the author doesn't call out names like that, or not as the MC is saying, there was a particular passage in the book where somebody approaches the author, asks for $6 million. You need to read this book. And I'm giving out too many spoilers. And, the author was wondering, I know everybody in NNPC now, who is this guy? And then he calls a few people, and none of them says anything that they know him. But one very significant, gentleman, whose name I don't need to call, nice guy, he himself describes him as a nice guy, very honest man, said that guy is a funny guy. He did not say that the guy was corrupt. He just said he was a funny guy. And, if you're reading between the lines, Engineer Osezua then says that, well, people were demanding for so and so, and they are blocking. So you just get the gist. So, you need to read the book. You have to look very closely and comb the book to see the Nigerian problem. For example, he says Lagos State is awesome. They helped in supporting the greater, Lagos franchise, the Gaslink. They stopped, they ensured that Omonile didn't disturb them. They ensured that, landlords didn't mess up, He says that. But then he now also drops the hint. They say writing something from a black man in a book, So if you read that part, you see him saying the job that the Lagos Direct Labor Agency did for us was less than desirable. So we had to redo the Agidingwe Road ourselves. This book is a massive store of knowledge for bankers and financiers looking to understand how the gas market works, for geologists and petroleum engineers who need to expand their scope beyond narrow technical understanding, for policymakers who wonder how come we haven't moved the needle on gas utilization this last 68 years, and for businessmen entering into the hydrocarbon production space, evacuation and marketing. Thank you very much for listening.
I am not supposed to disagree with my elder in public, so I will just keep my words to myself. Uncle Tony, thank you very much for that expansive review. There are many stories that will make you cry, make you laugh, make you wonder why Nigeria way it is. Stories that will restore your faith in human beings. Um, Years ago, we're going to do Apprentice Africa when I was in Bank PHB. And we're looking for the person that will be the boss in the line of Alan Sugar or Donald Trump. How did he build his business? And the job fell on me to shortlist about 60 business leaders. And this was 2008, 2007, 2008. So we went around, and every time we came to a story, it was like, oh, I left NMPC and I set up a small business, and then God blessed me, and then um, it was always God blessed me or I got lucky. And I'm a Christian, but I wanted to know how God blessed you so I can tell God to bless me that way too. And it never happened, you know. There were always, as they say in my place, some comma somewhere. So that was also part of the reason why we said we have to write biographies. We want people to tell us how they made their money, how God blessed them. Was it through some government contract from a friend of a friend, which will be nepotism? Or was it that a kind-hearted gentleman from Delta State gave you 3 million based on your character? You know, we need to know, because young people need to have role models, and we need to know how they made their money so that we can also learn how to do things, you know, in an ethical and professional manner. NMPC gave us Mr. Austin Avuru. NMPC gave us Engineer Ladele. NMPC gave us Engineer Osezua. But NMPC has Wahala. All the oil and gas books we've done, NMPC always throws a spanner in the works when it matters most. So if you read this book, you can get another chronicle of how NMPC has helped and also stymied the industry. But thank you very much, Uncle Toyin, for your expansive review. We'll move quickly. We have Engineer Wole Ogunsanya, who is chairman of PETAN. He's here with us today. I had introduced somebody who was here as Mr. Yink, and he's Mr. Tunde Folawiyo. And when he saw me outside, he said, because you called my name wrong, I will buy only 10 books instead of 20. So he's already bought the 10 books and paid us already. So be like Tunde Folawiyo. And if I have called your name wrong, please just forgive me and buy 5 instead of 10. We have Mr. Kunle Adeshida, who's here with us. We have Mr. Wole Ogunsanya from Joplex, Mr. Greg Ugbeifun, Mr. Bolaji Oshinuga from Axela, Mr. Loho Abure, Mr. Tunde Baba Agbe, and the rest. Okay, we'll come back to that. So now we are going to the main reason we're here today, to publicly present this book. If you look around, there are some young women in t-shirts with the rise of gas. They are not about to float into the atmosphere. They are here to collect your checks and your pledges. We have in here the account details for the rise of gas, Globus Bank. So if you want to make a transfer, please do and let us know. But we have to present the book formally, and for that I will ask Mr. Chairman, Mr. Basadomi, to please step down towards this. Please call Madam Antonia, where the book is arranged. Engineer Osezua, Madam Gloria, Mr. Engineer Oladele, Mrs. Lumuyiwa. Please just come. If we just arrange ourselves 2 on each side, or yeah, yeah. So maybe you should be on. They're coming down. Nigerians are writing books, Nigerians are buying books, so please write your own book. We need to know the stories. We need to hear them told well. So, at the count of, no, Tonya, please, I think we just pull it up, yeah. So, at the count of 5, we just pull it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So behold the rise of gas.
Ladies and gentlemen, I must say, I hope, like me, after first of all the short brief review by Engineer Ladele and of course our reviewer, I really want to read this book. There are nuggets in there. It's a short book and 200 pages or so, so it's easy to read. But it starts a conversation. The author has expressed opinions and very sound opinions, but we all need to see it because we have to have a conversation, otherwise we never really solve the problem of industrialization in Nigeria if you don't provide the right energy for it, and what is available is all here. It's about gas. So please get a copy, get for your friends and get for your institutions. Thank you.
Photos, please. So it's a public holiday and we don't want to keep you too long here. We've already been here for about 2 hours. So the book, we have two versions of it, the hardcover and the paperback. The hardcover is going for a launch price of 50,000 naira and the paperback for 30,000. 50,000 for the hardcover and 30 for the paperback. We are happy to receive your checks or bank transfers. The ladies are around. They will bring the books to you if you want to pick up a copy. Just indicate and they will come to you. The bank details are here in this. And the book is already on Amazon. So if you want to buy it off the internet, it's there. Just search for The Rise of Gas Engineer Osezua and it will pop up. So it's already there. Please go. Look out for those who wish to buy copies. So moving on, we will now take goodwill messages from friends and colleagues and financiers and no troublemakers for now. The GCO of NMPCL, who is represented here by Mrs. Olumuyiwa. Madam, you want to speak from here or from your seat? Please put your hands together for her, please.
Thank you. Nowhere to put it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, my uncles and aunties and daddies and mummies. I could say this because I know almost half of the hall knows me when I was growing up in NNPC. It's been over 30 years of a beautiful experience. I'm standing here this morning. I'm standing here to read the keynote address of the Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC on the launching of the book today, The Rise of Gas from Gaslink to the Decade of Gas by Malamele Kolokiari, the GCO NNPC Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me the great pleasure to be here for the launching of The Rise of Gas from Gaslink to Decade of Gas, which is a useful resource that chronicles the journey of natural gas in Nigeria. You will agree with me that gas as a source of energy plays a critical role in our society by sustaining economic growth and powering of our industries. This is evident even in the global economy, whereby the production and supply of natural gas is prioritized in the face of geopolitical dynamics and energy security. With over 200 TCF of reserves and a potential growth of 600 TCF, there will be enough gas to support the growth in the power and industrial sectors, address energy poverty, reduce carbon footprint, and create more employment opportunities. As you are aware, the Decade of Gas was launched to achieve the federal government's drive of harnessing the nation's gas reserves, aiming to increase Nigeria's utilization of gas for power, as well as emerging as a major gas exporter. NNPC plays an active role in realizing the intended benefits of its initiative, and we are also collaborating with the federal government on the National Gas Expansion Program to promote the use of compressed natural gas to power vehicles. To grow the utilization of gas, NNPC invested heavily in critical gas infrastructure such as the Ajaokuta-Kaduna Kano gas pipeline, Obiafun Obricom Oben Obi 3 pipeline, and gas processing facilities in addition to the already existing gas pipeline network. Once more, I congratulate Engineer Charles A for these achievements, which tells the story of the Nigerian gas industry, and I urge all players to actively collaborate to move the industry forward through innovation, continued commitment to excellence. It's a beautiful experience to be here, and I say thank you, sir. Malamele Kolokiari, GCEO, NNPC Limited, April 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. So 50,000, 30,000 is an indicative price. If you want to pay 1 billion, we are accepting checks or cash. So please don't worry about the price. The ladies are moving around. If you want to launch the book, please let us know. If you want to come up here and give us a goodwill message and tell us how much you're paying for the book, please come up. We will invite Dr. Armani Johnson to come up here and just say a few words if he wishes. Thank you, sir.
Engineer Charles wants me to announce that we're getting some books today for 2 million naira, and we hope to buy some more. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. That's what I'm talking about. So please start expecting your own book.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, and all protocols observed, let me take the opportunity to congratulate my brother, Engr Charles A,
for this beautiful book he's written. Yes, the gas is very necessary. It's surprising that I'm hearing about his efforts to give us gas in Nigeria. You know, the Alogy power plant was built by me, 500 megawatts, and we can't go on full steam because there's no gas. That's surprising that a lot of efforts being made to get gas, and we're talking about lack of power. And yes, we have somebody who put in a lot of effort to get us gas, and it's not being done. So, well, don't keep on fighting, don't give up, and I'm sure the big wigs in NNPC would like to help us solve the problem of power. We can't grow if we don't produce. Chairman, you are totally right. So anyway, I will contribute to this by taking the hard copy, about 3 of them. I think you say that's 150,000. I'm not a mathematics science, but I'll give you 200,000 for the 3 copies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. That's the founder of Engr Air. We have 10 copies purchased by Mr. Austin Avuru for ₦1,000,000. Mr. Tunde Folawiyo has given us ₦1,000,000 too for his own books. So I don't want to go below 1,000,000. So if you're coming up here, please come with your 1,000,000 or 2,000,000. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when my brother and the young man then who opened the pathway for me in gas distribution in Nigeria, Engineer Osezua, invited me here, I felt so very pleased. Because when the rigmarole I did in Port Harcourt failed to produce the right direction, when I needed to start distribution of gas starting from Aba, Osezua, and Ogwarenta, when it failed, again because of Nigeria and its problems, I came over to Lagos when I heard that Gaslink was to start distributing gas within the Lagos zone. I came into Lagos and met a young man in his office, Charles Osezua. Never met me before in my life. I told him my story, and he listened very well, and he said to me, you run what company? Then it was Falcon Petroleum Limited. And we were just beginning our first journey in gas distribution in Nigeria. But we were doing nothing at that point in time. We were just nothing, a nobody. We have spent time, myself and my wife, because I dream and she walks the dream, and that's how we succeeded. And then I came to Charles. Fortunately, he's an Asian man. Fortunately, I was born and bred and buttered at Uromi. My classmate Basil Omiyi is here, who were in school together at Ishan Grammar School, Uromi. I spoke to Charles, and we spoke Ishan. He said, what can you do? I explained to him. He said, what experience do you have? Here's a man who just retired, who just left the University of Nigeria as a medical parasitologist with no idea of engineering, but with a keen dream for gas. I sat down with him, we discussed. And he said, young man, I will give you an opportunity in gas. They did the pipelines within Lagos. The first company to receive gas in Lagos, Falcon Petroleum, did the internal piping and conversion to fire on natural gas. And that's Osezua for you. A man with no experience in gas, I'm not an engineer, like I said, a medical parasitologist, but he believed in me. We failed woefully in our first attempt. He called me to his office and asked me what happened. I told him the entire story. He gave me a second chance. And today, Falcon Petroleum, we did internal piping for over 90% of all the companies Gaslink gave gas to, both in along from Ikeja right through to Apapa. Osezua, I want to say thank you so much. That was our first step. That was our first chance in gas distribution in this country. And today, Falcon has about over 30 companies that it is delivering gas to at the Ikorodu. We own the Ikorodu franchise, thanks to Osezua that gave us that opening. And what has happened today? Falcon is building a 15,000 metric ton tank farm for LPG in Port Harcourt today as we speak. Will commission hopefully by October, November. We're also taking gas to Lagos Free Zone. Again, who started it all? It was started by the light that Osezua lit for us at the early hours of our entry into gas. I want to use opportunity. We've gone through a lot of issues, but thanks to Osezua, because he made a lot of things possible. Osezua, I'm not just talking about Osezua. I talk about this young man here sitting down here. We had absolutely nothing, not even a dime when we moved in. We got the Ikorodu, almost lost the Ikorodu, but for this young man here. He was in the team that championed the fastest investment by Capital Alliance, because they invested in Falcon, because they believed in Falcon. When we finished the defense, he said to us, we will give money for the development of Ikorodu, but we're not giving it to Falcon. We're giving it to Professor Ezigbo and his wife, Audrey Jo Ezigbo. Today, the rest is history. And I want to thank him, thank Osezua, thanks my good friend, Basil Omeye, who sat side by side in the classroom in our secondary school days. I thank him so much. And Madam, you've been wonderful. You see, Osezua worked faithfully for this young woman. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I think Falcon will take copies for University of Nigeria, where I lectured for 22 years before I retired. I'll take copies for University of Nigeria. I'll take copies for ESUT in Enugu. I'll take copies for Nnamdi Azikiwe University. And I'm going to take these copies paperback for 1 million naira. I'll take copies for all of them. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prof. The first bank that supported Gaslink when it was starting was the old Standard Trust Bank. And we have in the house Mr. Tony Elumelu, who was Engineer Osezua's neighbor back then, and who whispered many banking secrets to him that led to raising the funds for Gaslink. In my capacity as MC, I had said that when he comes, he will be our chief launcher. I just told him that. He said, no. But you gave the money for Gaslink. You should give the money for the rise of gas, the story of Gaslink. Before Mr. Elmelu comes up, we have Mr. Austin Avuru say a few words.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, sir, I I'm sorry, I just want to use the opportunity of this fantastic attendance of this event to say that we are distributing invitation letters to you, most of you here, for the Petroleum Club event we have on Monday, next door at the Metropolitan Club at 6 o'clock. Unfortunately, I just learned that it's not just today and tomorrow that public holiday, they've extended it to Thursday. So I just learned that as I was coming. So that's going to affect the distribution of the letters. You should get your letters, invitation cards letters by Friday. If you don't, we have an interactive session with the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum at the Metropolitan Club, 6 p.m. Oil. The Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum, oil. That's Senator Lopobiri. Yeah, we have an interactive session with him at 6 o'clock at the Metropolitan Club on Monday. It's not just for members of the Petroleum Club, but all members of the industry are invited. I just thought I should use the opportunity of this podium to make this announcement. Engr Charles Osezua, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person I'm calling is, we have the same baptismal name. We have the same Igbo name. We grew up in the same city of Jos. We are from Delta State. My first bank I worked in was his bank, and I'm about to write his book. Mr. Tony Elumelu, please come to the podium.
So, Chair, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what when you're asked to, I'm asked to launch. So let me say that Engineer Charles Osezua was my neighbor for many years, and we interacted in the evening about his ideas, aspirations to do something great about gas in Nigeria. And I have often believed that no one but us will develop Nigeria, no one but us will develop our continent. And so when he shared it with me, it was so easy to buy into his vision. And we supported him at the time, and we also invested at the time. And I'm happy that he sustained it. He, to a large extent, amongst others, with others, pioneered the development, indigenous involvement in this area. So I want to say congratulations. I'm very proud of you. I'm happy we interacted and supported it. If you were to do again, we will support you times two. So I will support, I'll buy some copies. We have a wonderful product of Mr. Me and Osa, who is the CEO of Ez Oil and Gas. Oh, no, Ez Energies. He's changed to Ez Energies. He has a lot of brilliant young ones, so I'm sure they will find this also interesting because we have ambition in the gas space. So we're going to buy quite some copies and support this with 10 million naira. Congratulations. Thank you. And my man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gatuni. Thank you very much. So before I said I won't take anything below 1 million, now I'm not taking anything below 10 million. Thank you very much, sir. So we have 1 million from Dr. Diron Fawigbe. Dr. Diron Fawigbe are giving us 1 million for 10 copies. Please, there's somebody who needs to move his or her car. AAA 809 EA, Pajero Jeep. You're blocking somebody who needs to leave, please. Could you just move quickly? AAA 809 EA. Is Dr. Lai Fatono here? Would you like to say a few words? Thank you, sir. Is Mr. Ken Etete in the house? Hello? Okay, so please, we would like you to come up after he's done. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My brother Charles and Mrs. Osezua. First of all, let me say thank you for giving us the opportunity of a day like this. Charles and I come from the same kind of lineage. We were apostles to late Chief Harriet Adams. And as Charles was, he had a deeper affinity with Chief Adams, so he's always beating me to so many things. Charles, you are beating me to your book. I'm not promising that there will be a book from me, but all I can say is congratulations for this brilliant piece of work. I am standing here and I'm representing an affiliate of yours, ND Western. We are a major gas player in the country. As a matter of fact, we are the biggest gas facilitator of any kind in the western part of Nigeria. So on behalf of ND Western, we have a tradition when we are invited to events like this. We will buy a copy of this book and circulate to all the art science libraries in Nigerian universities. We do that with passion. And just last 2 years, many of you must have heard of the Professor Oyawoye Library Complex at the University of Ibadan. I don't know what the rights are, but we will take an electronic copy of this book and put it in the Professor Oyawoye Electronic Library. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for this legacy. And thank you for telling the story of one of the energy sectors of Nigeria whose story is really never understood, even by the practitioners. So even if it's not understood by the practitioners, you could not expect the Nigerian society who will benefit tremendously from this legacy. So thank you very much for putting it in very, very simple terms, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. We have this book on Amazon, and we have the Kindle edition. So if you don't want the hard copy, you can buy the soft copy. It's already up. Is Mr. Ken Etete here? Okay. This car, AAA 809EA, please move your car, please. You're blocking somebody who needs to go quickly. My company has worked for Kenny Tete for the past 5 years. I've never seen him before. I'm seeing for the first time. But first time I sent you interviews, you told me Engineer Osezua was your mentor. So I'm happy that you're here today.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Chairman. A lot of you will be wondering why I'm being called. Actually, I wasn't expecting to be called. So I was
actually hired straight from the university by Engineer Charles, as we call him, chairman. So everything I know, all I'm doing is the training I got from chairman. And we are many of us in the room. So I was pleasantly surprised that I was called, and I'm actually very honored. I was hired straight from University of Port Harcourt, so I have a GT. Every time the opportunity like this comes, I have to buy books for my university. So I'm going to be buying 2 million naira worth of books. For the University of Port Harcourt. And of course, we have to continue to support all the learning institutions around the Delta, because we need to see that more and more of the young people have the opportunity to acquire knowledge and be more productive rather than being restive. So in the same way, the University of Science and Technology, River State, University of Science and Technology, and then the Niger Delta University, all these three institutions will be providing 2 million naira worth of books for them, which makes it 6 million. Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy for all that Linkso and the OL group has done for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Itete. We've gotten a few more hello, can we settle down, please? We're about to round up. We want to acknowledge a few people who have sent in money to buy a few books. We have Mani Ekpeyong, who's giving us 1 million. Mr. Mani Ekpeyong. We have Dr. Farigbe, who's giving us 1 million. We want to thank Mr. Etete, who has given us 2 million. Platform Petroleum has given us 1 million. Mr. Kasmia Madwafo of Tekon Blossom Group has given us 1.5 million for 10 copies. So please keep it coming. Mr. Odain Ajumogobia has bought 10 copies for 1 million naira. We're expecting please, have you moved your car, please? AAA 809 EA. Please move your car, please. Can we have Mr. Emeka Okwosa come up and say a few words? Mr. or Chief Emeka Okwosa. Ogailu, are you living? Okay. Chief Emeka Okwosa, you want to come up and say a few words? How about Mr. Henry Egbiki? Mr. Henry Egbiki. All right, we'll move to Mr. Matt Egbodion, who's representing Mr. Lee Ikbia. Is he here to say a few words? Okay. Oh, sorry. Thank you, sir.
Sorry. The chair, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to be here And I want to congratulate my elder brother, a past president of the Association of Eastern Professionals, a man that we're very proud of as a true Eastern son. So it's my pleasure to congratulate you. And I want to thank you for this book you have written. Of course, the tenacity at your age to write a book like this just talks to who you are as a professional. Given your pedigree, I'm very grateful that you've not allowed this knowledge, your extensive knowledge of the industry, to be lost to this generation and the future generation. So congratulations, and I would like to take 5 copies for the sum of 500,000 naira.
Thank you very much, sir. We have next Barrister Egbayon to say a few words.
Mr. Chairman, our host, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, speaking in the same vein like the last speaker, Engr Charles Osezua, OON, is one of us from Eastern Lands. In fact, he was the past president of the Association of Eastern Professionals. And I'm here this morning, or this afternoon rather, to support the launching of the book in the dual capacity. First, in my personal capacity, and secondly, to also put in the word for Dr. Limo Inkpea, CON, who is unavoidably absent. He's out of the country, and he's a mutual friend of ours. And for myself, I will buy 5 copies for 500,000 naira.
Thank you, Barrister Egbayon. Thank you, Mr. Egbiki. We will now have Mr. Bolaji Osusonya, CEO of Gaslink, come up and say a few words. Mr. Osusonya, CEO of Gaslink.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, Engineer Osezua and wife, I think we'll be failing as Gaslink if we do not say a few words at this occasion. And there are easy ways of rationalizing it. How much will you pay to have your name on the cover of a book? In corporate communications terms, I think we would have to pay a lot to have our names on a book like this. Engineer Osezua is our shareholder, is our foremost director, is our foremost managing director. He's paved the way for everything we've done as a company. And I think when the story of Gaslink was being reviewed in that chapter, all we can say is that Engineer Osezua, we've kept the fire burning. All those constraints that you spoke about, we found ways around them. We've continued to grow, and we speak for the legacy. And when I say the legacy, we speak for Unipetrol, the original owners of the franchise. We speak for Uando PLC, the subsequent owners of the company, and more recently we speak for Accela, who are the new owners of Gaslink. So you can imagine what's that simple steps you took a few years back as created and it's been so value creating that these different organizations have found it necessary to continue to invest in it and grow it. We have a professional class that will certainly benefit from reading this history, and therefore we will be buying 50 copies to share around all those companies for the modest sum of 5 million naira.
Thank you, Gaslink, for launching your own book. Because the story of Gaslink, and we are grateful for your generosity. We have 1 million from Pan Ocean and New Cross companies. Pan Ocean and New Cross companies, 1 million naira. We are rounding up shortly. We have Mr. Osezua, who is CEO of Engr Energies. He has bought 20 copies for 2 million naira. Thank you, Engr Energies. We have Triumph Power and Gas Systems. They've given us 1 million naira. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Anybody want to say a few words about Engineer Osezua? Please, sir. Please come up. Mr. Alfred.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to stand on the existing protocol. My Oga, Madam, good to see you. I knew about Oga's attempt to write The Rise of Gas several years ago. Oga and I became entwined in 1993 when I was giving the toast at a friend's wedding in Uniben. My name is Franklin Osezua Ufwa, and so when he heard my middle name, he beckoned on me and said, "Young man, come see me." Then he was at the Lagos Business School, and I said, "Oh, my middle name is Osezua. I know your surname is Osezua. Oh, what do you do?" "I'm a lawyer." "Oh, come see me in Lagos." I didn't know him from Adam. It was just fortuitous. And so that began the journey of my legal trajectory till today. I have been Charles's lawyer from that day till today. So all of the journeys that are mirrored in that book, I have played a lot of roles in all of that. In fact, I'm sure if I had the opportunity of reviewing that book before anybody else, I would have given much more than he has said. My law firm, Legal Works, currently renders legal services to PNG, a company within the Avurus Group, and Charles's structure. And so on behalf of Legal Works, I want to say thank you, Charles, for the journey so far. Thank you, Ma. And we will be buying 2 copies for the sum of 500,000 naira. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, sir, my brother, Sir Charles Osezua, and his dear wife. My name is Chief Dr. Ezekiel Ainabedi Ojomon Fekpoma. Of course, from the same place, my brother Charles I can remember vividly, Charles has always been a star. That's why I call him Great Charles. When he just came back from Texas, from the US, I had a call from our daddy, Chief Tony Anini, that he's aware of our Esan Committee of Friends, and that there was a young man who just came back from abroad, who knows so much about gas and oil and gas, and wanted me to, as the president of that committee, wanted me to send somebody to them to come and give them a talk on oil and gas in Nigeria. Fortunately, I was in downstream business. Charles is just a young man. I just came from the US. I now said, Charles, this is your job. We need you to go there and talk to our people back home at Uromi, all about oil and gas, especially gas in which you are a specialist. He gladly accepted to go, and indeed he went. He came back as a brace trailer. He was very great. He performed very well to the extent that Dr. Anini fell in love with him and then said, Star is you are a star, and sky is your limit. We pray for him, and since then he's been making us proud. So I'm happy to be here today as from the palace in Ekpoma, and of course in my own capacity as the Ojoma of Ekpoma. I've already paid for 4 copies for myself and the kingdom. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here today. Mr. and Mrs. Charles, thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, standing on the existing protocol, I'm Alfred Okoigun. I told Charles when I got the invitation that I will attend this function, and for a very simple reason, and also for the great effort he has made to put this book together for dissemination of information, and as has been said by the chairman, the reviewers, it's a great thing is done. Many will learn from this. So, Charles Osezua, I came in contact with him when I had to visit NNPC, and at that time, I was the principal technical assistant to the GMD, Mr. Arrett Adams. Just casual meeting. But what really stuck and why today is very special is what he told me just about a year he resigned from NNPC. He told me he was going to be leaving NNPC, and I was anxious to know what he was going to be doing after. And of course, as a businessman, I have a lot of ideas, and so he told me he was going to follow the trend of gas development in Nigeria. And as at that time, gas was really not the in thing in the country. He said that the petroleum or the petrochemical and all those steel complexes. But he said he was going to focus on gas. And later on, the Gaslink, and a number of other gas-related projects. He has never deviated. For that, I really commend his effort. And that is what we don't get in our Nigerian of today. People talked about business. You have had the era of breweries. We ran into it. Many went there and crashed. We had the one for various other products. But Charles Okobia will remain focused on gas. And good enough, he has put this book together. Thank you very much. I make my commitment for 1 million naira for 10 copies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alfred Okoigun. We're going to have, no, sorry, please. She's waiting. Mrs. Ibn Akenzua.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Uncle Charles and Auntie Glo, as I love to call them, are a source of inspiration to myself and my husband. So today I'm truly proud of Uncle Charles. And for my husband and I, we've come a long way looking at them and what they've taught us, and we are truly proud of them. On behalf of my husband, Elias Kenzua, and I will be taking 2 copies for 2 million naira.
Thank you very much. The chairman of PNG, please come up. One of our generous sponsors and supporters for this event.
Thank you very much. Chairman, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I stand here on behalf of PNG Gas Limited. Engineer Osezua is one of our directors, not just a director, a founder of PNG Gas Limited. This book he has written is not just theory. PNG is one of the testaments of the reality of his dreams and visions. For that reason, we want to support this book launch with the sum of 2 million naira. Thank you very much, Engineer Osezua and your wife. God bless you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. If you've got your copy and you like to have it signed, you can please approach Engineer Osezua. He's happy to oblige you. Thank you. Which one's that? Are we good? Okay, sir, please go ahead. Better.
Engineer Osezua, my name is Wale Ogunsanya. I'm the new chairman of Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria. I want to recognize what I didn't know Engineer Osezua, but I knew the work that he did at Gaslink. And one of our PETA members, Osezua, led by Engineer Okwosa, laid those pipelines for these guys. So Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, you know what we do. We're the service providers to the industry, both in the downstream sector, upstream, midstream, you know, name it, Petan is there all the way, and I'm very proud that one of our members played a major role in this. On behalf of Petan, I'm buying 10 copies of the books for 500,000 naira. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Petan. Thank you, those who have bought this book. God bless you. We're about to round up here, so if you want to say a few words, this is your opportunity. 2 minutes is 1 million naira, 3 minutes is 4 million. Is this yours? Yes. Wait, sir. It's now auction time, and we are auctioning the minutes. 3 minutes is 4 million. 6 minutes is 5 million. Please come up here and say a few words and give us some money. Thank you very much. If you have your book and you want to have it signed, please come up here and have that done. Yeah? Yes, please. Over there. He's up there. I know.
Make your own personal.
Simple, Abi. Simple there. You move the platform. It's time for his. Hello, please. Can you just sit for his for the chairman's vote of thanks? Can you just give us a few minutes for his vote of thanks? Chairman.
Just stay here, stay here.
I just speak here.
Your wife is signing my own.
Okay.
Hello, can you please settle down for a minute for the vote of thanks from the author? Please just give us 2-3 minutes and we'll be done. Yeah, and you can sign your books before you leave. Please give us 2-3 minutes for the author to say a few words. To say thank you for your time and your generosity. Please give us 2-3 minutes. Please take your seat for 2-3 minutes and we'll be done shortly.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. Wow. You guys have been wonderful. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, sir, my dear wife, Gloria, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I know there's been protocol, but please, I have so many of my elders I would like to greet and thank. They say those who brought me up by hands. I see Chamberlain Oyibo. Thank you very much. I see Jim Orife. I see Ike Uwobodo. You know, Ike is Ike may look younger, or he may be younger actually in age. But Ike took me for one of those first early launches in NNPC. And he started a lot of things. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my job really is very simple. It's been a lot. Mine is to say thank you. And as he called my name, I think for a moment I wondered, but truth is, a lot has happened today. A lot of people have come and gone, but I thank you for waiting. The story has been told. You know, when I said that, when I was at what am I going to say when they call me? I was going to say exactly what I said. What am I going to say but to say thank you, Lord? That was all really I told myself. I said thank you, Lord. Because the story you have, what you've heard today, and the testimony or the reviews are really not about me. It's the story of God leading me in a path I did not know. And I discovered it after the fact. It's always after the fact. You look back and say, oh, this was where he was leading me. And I think at each case, each stage, God wanted to make it very clear he was the one and not me. And I think the most graphic was funding for Gaslink. He alluded to it, and I know you all have experienced it as an entrepreneur.
I came into the gas business and I ventured to do Gaslink. A few people knew me. I had little money and a lot of ideas. My dear wife sitting here, yes, she eventually pushed me to write the book. But Gloria, Glo, come here, please come. You know, I'm inviting this lady. She's my wife, she's my friend and my partner. Gaslink was a family challenge. When I wrote my last check, she was crying. We said, well, what do we do? She told me now we have to pray. For those who know my wife, we went to Ikeja. We were doing pilgrimages every Saturday. We visited every church on the route of our gas pipeline. We were still looking for money. Then somebody said, why don't you go and see Chief Ochonogo? I've never heard of Chief Ochonogo in my life, and I've never met him. And the fellow who said I should go and see him told me something. He said, you know you cannot tell them, tell him I gave you his name. And that was the challenge I had. How do you meet a man? I want you to come and invest in my project. And when he asked me who told you to come and see me, I'll say, oh, I can't tell you. It was a major challenge for me. But that's where I said God walked in front of us. And that was the story Engineer Oladele told us today about. If you read the book, Chief Ochonogo featured prominently. He gave me an address to see me in Apapa. I was stuck on the Coe Bridge. We eventually met in Yaba. He was blessing his new house. I didn't know him, and they passed me by, and the man who was blessing the house was a reverend gentleman like we saw two here today. May his soul rest in peace, Reverend Patrick Adigbite. And Father Adigbite, after the fact, embraced me and said, Charles, what are you doing here? I said, what are you doing here? Chief walked past. That's the man I came to see. But he observed us. All the necessity done, he left. And I was invited to see Chief. And Chief asked me, do you know that man? I said, yes, sir. I said, when his seminary has come and they are hungry, they come to my house. We were living in Sulere. But that was the beginning of our story. Point here for me is this. I was making a presentation. On my first slide, Chief told me, he said, young man, as Oladele reported from his, he said, young man, I have been reading a lot about you and your project. And if you know that man, you must be a good person. We invest in character. And of course, he called his executive director. And as I was sitting there, he said, I'm going on vacation for 3 months. He told his director to credit my account, $3 million. He said, please send the document to my executive director so she can courier it to me on Monday. That was the trigger, and that's what changed the story of Gaslink, and indeed my story. I know it's been a long day, but I wanted to make the point. This lady led me on a prayer journey. Well, I want to thank all of you for honoring us. Tony was here briefly. Typical of Tony, of course. I called Tony last week or so. He said, oh, yeah, I'll come. And I didn't expect him to be here for more than, how many minutes? 50. And of course, vintage Tony. But you know, Tony, like he said, it's amazing how you get ideas. Frustrated one evening, we started, what do we do next? I went to talk to Tony. We were neighbors, but we're not great friends. Maybe because of age difference. Tony was very aggressive and was doing a lot of things. But finally, I went to see Tony to talk about project. Not just to drink, his wife, okay, we all met, family, and so on and so forth. But Tony looked at the project, like he said today, and said, you have a good project. If you can raise 30% equity, I needed $10 million to do the first phase of Gaslink. It's done. Anyway, the rest is history. Chief Ochonogo gave me $3 million. We were heavily oversubscribed because he paid all the equity, but I had so many subscribers, and like my dear friend here, Dr. who had been with me from get-go, dear Aret Adam, and many more to be called. Again, that was it. So I want to thank Tony, Chief Ochonogo, and indeed all my shareholders, those who were able to make it today. I remain forever grateful. I thank all of you, my colleagues, who have honored us. In different ways, your words, your comments have guided and helped us. I remember the first time Chambali came to the Lagos Business School, where we were here in Ahmed Onibodu. He was like, okay, they came for a management program. And I was in my small office. I won't tell the story of my small office. He said, please don't. But that was the promotional days. But after Chamba was Jimmy Bademosi, Dr. Bademosi, my immediate boss. And that was really my journey to business. They wanted to do a gas study on the Chevron gas liquefaction project. I had no company, I had nothing. And they say, can you do this for us even while you are here? And I am sure at the GMD there, everybody contributed. But I got that contract, and I said, can I do it in my name? They said, you must be coming from the moon. That's how naive I was in business. So when Joe was telling his story, I came from the same background, you know. But anyway, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, yes, my managers are telling me I'm beginning to get carried away. It's always a challenge. When you meet your bosses and colleagues, and you find yourself with a microphone, you just remember there are so many stories to tell. But distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for coming and for honoring Gloria and I. We are forever grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. We're very grateful. Thank you for buying books. You can order after today. You can go on Amazon. You can buy the e-book. You can buy the hard copy. Thank you for coming. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And please tell your own story so the world will know how you made it. Thank you very much. And God bless you. We have refreshments outside. So just to your right. We have refreshments outside to your right. So please pick it up if you are minded to. We have refreshments to your right outside.